Chapter 1. On an army base in an area where freedom of the press is irrelevant, a brash general, John Clancy, spoke authoritatively. "These are your orders, Captain." Standing at attention, Captain Evan stalwartly stated, "Yes, sir." Captain Evans strongly stood. An unwavering cluster of disgruntled emotions should have been tattooed on his forehead. From his poorly cut hair to his secured boots, the captain was a living contradiction. Speaking again, "Captain, the first member of your team is a bit of a disaster area." Unhappy to do so, General Clancy handed over her file. "On her last assignment, she was ambushed by a few kids no older than 13. She did what she had to do." Pointing to his chest, the general disrespectfully commented, "In order ruckus, she took a round above her heart." Cracking open the file, the captain calmly wondered, "General, when was her last mission?" 6 months ago, the general stated. Dropping another file, John joshingly said, "Your next team. You'll like him." Evan picked up the file while he listened to John. "Fix. He's in B Company," the captain regrettably remarked. Angered, the general stated, "Dismissed, Captain." Angered, Evan stomped out. When he left the Green Army tent, the cool air helped clear his mind. "Private!" the captain yelled for all to hear. Terrified, the closest one rushed to him, answering, "Yes, sir." Vengefully, he punched the private in the face, knocking him unconscious. Fixing his green shirt, the captain coldly spoke. "That will be all." Ashamed of what her jacket read, he took from it that she was still in the medical barracks. Evan walked to the medical barracks and was accosted by the stench of alcohol. By the time he entered the lodge barracks, it was like a room-emptying fart. He felt sick to his core, while being quietly waved over to a desk she was seated at. The young African-American woman waited for him to talk with her. Evan held his nose while he stated, "I'm here for Lieutenant Lucinda Hawke." Used to the tough stench as well as worse things in war, the nurse kindly told him, "Good, but you'll have a hell of a time getting her to talk to you." Strangely, Evan announced, "Which door?" "The last door on the left," the woman unhappily said with a fake smile. Going there, he thanked her, then left. When he popped to jar the room, he saw it was lit with a sickly glow. Within, Evan watched a lovely, athletic-framed woman drinking a bottle of vodka without a glass to pour it into. Red, like northern cardinal feathers, was her hair. Her skin was as if she'd been taking a huge amount of recreational drugs, palely ill. He would look on for a small stint, seeing her guzzle the entire bottle. She then licked the drops from her fingers. Before he could enter, she slowly got to her feet, then stumbled to the barred window behind her. Getting there, Lucinda kicked over a wooden chair, revealing another bottle. "Trying to kill yourself, Lieutenant Lucinda," the captain surely commented. Curtly, she replied, "So what is it this time, Sarge?" Tauntingly, she stated, "Who's the general's pet? Come to court-martial me." The captain disregarded her thoughts. Evan threw the assignment files on the floor. "By direct orders of the general, you have been called back into active duty," the captain demandingly yelled. "What's the mission?" she yelled back. "Oh, wait, I couldn't give a shit." Falling to his darker nature, he went closer to her. Angrily, he demanded, "You listen, and you listen good." Enraged, he snatched the collar of her white-stained shirt. "Get your drunk ass up and—" He felt a sharp knife at his throat as she snarled, "You get your crummy hands off me." Gently, the captain removed them and slowly sat down on her bed. The blade continuing to be at his Adam's apple, he matter-of-fact queried, "Now, what are you going to do? Kill me?" The lieutenant glared at him, eyes flaring with the fires of hate, but in the same instance they switched to calmness. She gave off an air of serenity only to be found in Buddhist monks. "No, I am not going to kill you." Clear in mind, Lucinda moved her weapon away. "You're going to do something for me. Come back in an hour, Captain, and I'll be ready for a fun assignment." All this way in a belated sarcasticness. Proud of the situation's outcome, Evan relaxed a little. "Get out!" she yelled, knocking him into jumping up. Silently he exited. He did have more work to do. Once alone, she spitefully cried out, smashing the full bottle in her hand against the wall. Venting, she ran her fingers through her hair and breathed out through her nose. Reluctantly, she strolled into the bathroom, and she commented, "Am I really going to do this again?" Meanwhile, at B Company, Evan stood in the centre of a waiting platoon. He now called, "Kenneth Fix! Report for your assignment at 900 hours to Helipad 2. Uncaring if Ken heard him, the captain went back to the general's tent. Pushing aside the flap, he saw him do paperwork. "General, everything has been set up for the mission," he told his commanding officer. Sitting in his steel chair, John called Evan forward, physically, and whispered, "Okay. Captain, I am here in this hellstorm to inform you of your true goal. What I am to tell you is to be known by no one." Puzzled because he had clearance from the programme of Unright CMR 114. "Yes, sir." "This is out of the reach in a war. It would take your 3-man squad into the forgotten city of LA. The room went silent. Both men understood Los Angeles was lost to the enemy. John discreetly informed him, his ears in what they were open. "You're entering a contaminated land on the brink of the calamity." "Captain, I am telling you not to talk about that," the general exclaimed. He said it more so if anyone was on the other side of his big green tent. He then began to whisper once more. "They are hatched, and you need to go to retrieve them so we can win this war. General, even if you allowed 1,000 men, it still couldn't be done, yet you gave me 2. A drunk, as well as a B Company disaster." The captain paused and pondered. "You go to hell, sir. When you get there, I'll thank you for the free ticket," he yelled on his exit. Continuing to feel screwed over, Evan stormed to the medical centre. There he witnessed a woman sitting on a milk crate. He asked himself, "Can that Lucinda? She looks way too wow." Simply seeing her made his entire day. Uneventfully, she took out a cigarette before she could light it. Evan already had a Zippo out for her to use. In her black Special Forces fatigues, Hawke looked up at him. Lighting her freshly rolled cig joint, she remarked, "So, where are we off to?" Frustrated, he informed her, "I'll tell you on the transport." Standing up, she took a drag, and then blew it in Evan's face. While they were on the path to the helicopter, the captain inquisitively spoke. "Are you going to bring weapons?" Indulging another drag, she held it to say, "When you were gone, I already put my gear on the deck." Breathing out, Lucinda continued, "The sniper rifle is already on the chopper." Puzzled, he asked, "Then why didn't you meet me where we were going, Lieutenant?" Not really paying attention, Lucinda answered, "I wanted to see if you trusted me." At attention, Fix stood next to the black Hella. Ken was a small, shy, 19-year-old kid. He was dressed in green enlisted fatigues. "Kenneth Fix?" the captain called out. "Sir, yes, sir," he loudly replied. Climbing on the chopper, Evan remarked hoarsely, "Fix, you do know if you mess up again, you'll see the firing squad." Following right behind him, the others got on. About halfway to California, the captain unrolled what he needed to tell them. "We're going off the reservation with this op. We'd been sent to find a weapon to end the war." Alarmed at the news, Lucinda and Ken listened intently. "We're headed to LA. We know that the creators have evolved past what our military ever predicted. If we do run into one, the only way to no-kill them is to scatter it into enough pieces that their nervous system can't emit a control pulse." Easily poking his head into the helicopter's cab, one of the pilots spoke loudly so they could hear him over the spring blades. "We're landing in 3, 2, 1. Precisely when they hit the cracked street, everyone moved for cover behind ruined buildings. The city appeared bombed out and shut up beyond reason. It was as if it had been warred in for decades. Shattered windows, fractured skyscrapers, accompanied by lost homes. The streets were riddled with bones of many animals, along with blackened human corpses. These unfortunate souls had been burned in a vast explosion which was covered up for many years ago, only to be known to high-ranking personnel. Cocking his shotgun, Evans pulled Fix from the line of sight. Calmly, he pushed a small radio reserved in his left ear. Shortly after, his subordinates followed suit. Softly, he stated, "Keep in contact at all times." Trustingly, Ken told him, "Yes, Captain." "Oh, sir, I wouldn't let you get lonely," Lucinda joked. Rushing into a broken-down hotel lobby, complete with cracked glass walls, Evan and Ken split from Lucinda, while she moved towards an open drugstore. Allowing the captain to venture in first, Fix motioned him ahead. Whacking him in the head, Evan whispered, "Ass." Clutching his weapon, Ken kissed his cross and went in, gun nozzle first. The room was torched like it had been subject to a flash fire. At the broken window was the body of an old man, his hands grasping the brim of his throat, but he stood lifelessly still. Shuddering in fear, Fix asked, "What do you think did that?" Stopping close to Ken, Evans spitefully spoke, "A bad death." Over the radio, Lucinda questioned, "Who's dead?" Continuing to move silently, Fix answered, "No one, just a casualty." "You mean throat-grabbing stiffs?" "They were in here," she unhappily stated. Stepping through a doorframe, Kenneth Fix saw himself in a cloudy mirror, causing him to yell. Walking back to him, Evan pleasurably said, "Yeah, I think you're ugly too." "What was that?" Lucinda curiously wanted to know. Pitching an empty pill bottles over his shoulder, Lucinda spoke again. "Will you two keep it down?" she demanded. The bottle she replaced bounced down the hall into the shadowed room filled with 10 dead workers, clutching them in the same fashion as the old man. Picking up the last bottle from behind the counter, she stated, "It had to be the last one." Turning it, she read Valium, 50 milligrams. On the other end of the radio, Lucinda suddenly heard, "Sir, Captain, why are you... Sir!" After, Ken cried out, then sounds of a gunfire resounded through the headset. Lunatically, Evan touted, "Oh, Fix, you're bleeding." As she was about to also come to terms with Ken choking on his own blood, stowing the pills in her side pocket, Hawke ran into a nearby mechanic shop next door. It was a cold dump of a place, scattered with pictures of playing children. The shelves were fully stocked, waiting for the day's customers. Cobwebs dusted in dry crimson liquid. A terrible thing happened here. On a transceiver, Lucinda listened to Evan's voice. "Lieutenant, why did you run?" While he spoke to her, the small plastic reserved in her ear began to melt, his voice deep-end with each word. Gritting her teeth, she ripped the hot plastic out of her ear. The act would hurt, that she knew it might, forcing Lucinda to yell, "Holy shit!" The final transmission she clearly heard from it was from what was once Evan, and said, "I am coming for you." Drops of blood slid from her ear and down her shoulder as she rushed further into the shop. From in back of her, Hawk felt the ground quake. Pulling her sniper rifle from her back, she checked the 7-round clip of her chair-tack intervention. A monster of 700 pounds and 17 feet tall that was chewing on Fick's body walked towards the mechanic's open gauze door. The whole store shook with every virtual step. Masterfully, as if she'd done it 1,000 times, Lucinda placed the chair-tack sniper rifle to her shoulder. Gratefully, she squeezed her black fingernail-painted finger on the silver trigger. In her mind, she stated, "Squeeze, not pull." Firing her weapon, the muzzle flash replayed the reason Lucinda wears a gold-plated bullet around her neck under her gear. In a forest, happily growing, riddled with hundreds of mutated humans, the stomach-turning sounds of people being rendered or eaten was louder than ever, raining explosions, blistering gunshots. Alongside Lucinda was a company of 12 soldiers, all lower ranked than her. Glancing to her left, she called to a corporal holding a communicator attached to his ear. "Call HQ. Tell them the sergeant and the captain are dead. We need evac now." Dropping an evil-looking mutant, stricken by snake-like appendages, Lucinda ordered, "Strengthen the perimeter." Laying down suppressive fire, they moved forward. Out of the grass-covered soil came hands of rotting flesh. The clusters of fingers dragged 2 men into the earth. Screaming, they emptied their automatic rifles into the ground. Stepping away from the falling men, Lucinda killed another monster. Fleeing through the pine trees, a 13-year-old kid ran directly into the madness holding a single-shot handgun. Witnessing the debacle, the young child shot out of fear. Spinning around to understand the speaking private, using the communicator, Lucinda hurt in her chest, then saw the boy pointing a gun at Hawk. Moving to him, she put her black glove hand on his shoulder. She painfully said, "Man, get this boy out of here." Relacing her rifle, it hit the blood-drenched forest floor. Lucinda's auto rifle was missing 7 rounds. These 7 shots hit 2 of her own men and the child in the skull. The kid collapsing to the floor was forever engraved in her long memory, for eternity. The 1.5-inch long round whizzed through the air. It impacted with grease such that when it hit, she smiled. Most of the new Evan's elongated face was gone, yet moved after her. Stumbling into the open wall of the damaged door, the beast replaced Fix out of its salivating mouth. Resentful of it continuing to live, Lieutenant Hawk fired all 6 remaining shots, blowing away parts of its large muscular frame. The final blast blew asunder the creature's right knee, crashing it into the main office of the mechanic's office. Splinters and brick flew all over the main garage, pushing up bunches of dust. Scrounging towards her, the monster searched for life to end. Flipping her weapon onto her back, along with pulling the strap on it, tightening it, unveiling a 9mm Timberwolf TWL handgun, Lucinda placed 9 more rounds onto its exposed brain. Quivering till it ceased, Lucinda delightfully exclaimed, "Ha!" Nervously, she reloaded both of her guns, then opened up the pill bottle she'd stolen and popped 3. "Now, to get that weapon to end this damn war," she said, then went into the dead streets of LA. Finding an undamaged video camera in the destroyed streets via a family of long-gone tourists, cleaning it off, Hawk opened the side viewer and pushed record. Placing the camera's lens to look on her, Lucinda spoke. Well, the probability of me finding you in this huge city. Geez, I should just shoot myself. It'd be a quicker death than what I'm in for out here. If anyone finds this, you will know the whole story of how this all happened. Tweaking her nose momentarily, she calmly kept talking. My father, a great scientist, found a chemical embryo which exists in the DNA of humans. The embryo controlled evolution. The dad I knew changed, saddened in his heart. As he made progress in his research, the government secretly stole his samples. They commenced their own insane experiments. Stretching her neck, she then resentfully stated, cruel, evil experiments, making the first monsters. They donned diamond skins. Feeling the pills kick in, shone by her dilated pupils. Because of their hard, shiny, diamond-like skin, soon they would construct a bomb. It would affect a landmass the size of Alaska. Buzzing good, Lucinda concluded. In 2024, they used it on Russia, yet they didn't take in the effect on water. The water multiplied the explosion over 500 times expected. The power conducting the powerful bomb covered the entire world. The mutating people changed everything. 5 years later, my father started to work on a vaccine. He injected as many people as he could. I was the first. Checking to see if anyone was coming while she walked, she went back to the camera. Those who lived created colonies in every major city in the world. The only thing that slowed them down was the International Army, but now I fear that it is somehow being corrupted. Taking a deep breath, she informatively dictated. When they set off the bomb, 4 red 10-foot eggs somehow formed. My dad found out these eggs held beings of astronomical energy. Wiping away a tear, she sadly spoke. Before he died, my father created a formula to de-evolutionize the Earth, saving all those infected. When he died in 2035, the formula along with the eggs were lost. The year is now 2045. Calmly, she shut the device, slowly putting it in her free vest pocket. Concerned, Lucinda started to wonder why she hadn't been attacked yet. The further she ventured into the city, the more gunfire she heard. Ducking behind a rusted-out car, Hawk propped her sniper rifle on the front hood. Rubbing her eye, cleaning it, she gazed down the high-powered scope of her Chertak intervention. On its other side, her eye saw 2 living inhabitants defending themselves from diamond skins. Every bullet ricocheted off their hardened hides that hit the cars and old buildings. The diamond skins hunched over, as if they wanted to run on all fours. The crystal covered their body. Zooming in her scope, she aimed at one's ear. She fired. Her target ended in a spray of pink mist. She found a great spot on the other. In the meantime, the refugees dove for cover. Allowing the second round to exit the long barrel, the lieutenant filled the air with brain matter. Flipping her rifle on her back, she quickly walked up to them. Pulling her handgun as she spoke, iron sights bearing down on a ground-hugging woman. Lucinda coolly questioned, "What are you doing in a restricted area?" Scaredly, the brown-haired young woman looked up at her. Her eyes squinting as if Lucinda was the sun when she looked up at the lieutenant. "And you be?" Pulling back her handgun's hammer, she boyishly replied, "The person who just saved your life." Raising a semi-automatic carbine to the back of Lucinda's head, the second male refugee demanded, "Drop it." Chilly beyond ice, she told him, "You do know, with my training, I could kill you both." Placing her hands up, the young woman pleadingly spoke. "Vigo, we know she can." Lowering his carbine, Vigo moved in front of Lucinda, allowing her to see him. Vigo was a tall, middle-aged man with greying black hair. He also appeared to have a fading dragon tattoo on his face. His blue jeans were stained by oil, torn at the left pocket. She was pretty sure it was in some kind of struggle. Smirking, the brash hawk sarcastically commented, "Let me guess. You blow that out playing pocket pool?" Snickering, the young woman introduced herself. "I'm Eve. My family was far too religious. Oh, and to answer your beginning question, we live here." Sliding the handgun's hammer towards the lieutenant instructively, said, "You're taking me to your companions." Suspiciously, Vigo thought out loud, "How did you know there were more of us?" Holstering her gun, Lucinda coyly stated, "You just told me." "Wow," Eve remarked, while she examined Hawk's sniper rifle. Outstretching her hands, Eve happily asked, "Can I see that?" motioning to her weapon. Blowing her off, Lucinda disrespectfully accosted, "No. Get going." Other places on the Earth have been affected by the mutated beings, which stretched out their hunting grounds, pushing back the international army. San Francisco is now barren, the same as the sickly streets of LA. Garages encased in reinforced concrete, they surrounded decaying buildings of the lost city. These bridges had become command posts, run by the greatest soldiers of the time, -1. The International Army, Mars Squadron, cut down hundreds of these beasts every day. The squadron used small arms and explosives, labelled inferno charges. The president to these people out here was nothing, a figurehead in this Earth's war. Today, in the field, Earth's war against the mutants went on. Atlas Cunningham led all of the 970 Mars troops into battle at once. Dressed in pliable alloys, the Mars troops were covered in virtually untouchable armour to all sharp objects. Carrying a two-handed flamethrower, Atlas Cunningham was one of the many. His men loved it, leading from the front. He dressed in grey colours, if not for his 4 field general stars. Sneaking down an old rigid wooden staircase, he saw a nest of 400 feeding diamond skins. They needed to build nests in walls made from things rather not mentioned. Reaching the floor's base, Atlas Cunningham vengefully yelled, "Start game!" Screeching, every mad diamond skin monster turned to him. Crashing into the large warehouse, 600 Mars Squadron soldiers unloaded. The machine guns they carried cut up charging mutants, rendering bloody monsters to the concrete floor. Having sliced through the walls, the troops rushed into the room, guns blazing, while their leader lit up 10 of his prey. Stepping further into the burning crowd, Cunningham held down his trigger of rapture. Vibrantly, the diamond skins alight ran towards the shooting Mars troops. Waving the hot light of flame across the enemy before him, Atlas loudly said, "Vipers, coming for us!" Down from the rafters came mangled, half-dead humans, smashing off the ground. They creeped to their upright position. Jumping away from the falling Vipers, Cunningham shoved his army igniter into a nest and gladly burned it down. Screeching, those within the wooden nest died slowly. Powering forth, the Mars Squadron continued to fire. Opening their mouths, 10 Vipers unleashed red acid on a single soldier. Crying out, he began to melt. Vipers resembled undead half-snake creatures from ancient times. Angered by the sight, the squadron's top-ranked killer, Ramel, picked up the SMG of his lost comrade. Emptying the new black gun, Ramel killed 6 of the Vipers, who annihilated his squadmate. Allying with him, his friends joined in dropping. Running out of rounds, all but Ramel reloaded. Not following suit, he pulled the pin on an inferno charge, shoved it into the Viper's decaying chest. He then pushed the Viper at the others. Unknown to him, the diamond skins had dug tunnels to get here, beneath the concrete. The explosion ripped open the floor. plummeting Rommel into the darkness. Scoffing, Atlas fearlessly leapt in to assist his best soldier, yet he would do the same for any of his men. Surrounding Rommel was a group of writhing vipers. Running to avert one of his own soldiers' deaths, the 4-star general held down the trigger of his heavy flamer. The heat of the flamethrower was the simplest sigh of hope Rommel felt. He pulled his inferno charge to defend himself, spewing acid at him the same way they did on his melted brother-in-arms. The acid melted his chest plate as soon as it came into touch with him. The reason Rommel did not melt away was because he was wearing an advanced version accompanied by reinforced metal plates. Pulling the pin on the charge, he tore off his melted plate, shoved it in, and threw it. Burning 17 of his enemies to ash, the field general kicked a screeching monster to the dirt. The explosive went into the darkness of a faraway tunnel. Understanding the predicted size of the blast, he yelled to Atlas, "Climb back up!" Scrambling to the exit, both men saw flame, light, and unaccountable amount of diamond skins. Helping them out, the second wave of men finished what the main group couldn't. From the unburnt nests, more and more diamond skins attacked. Suddenly, Cunningham's pilot light went out. It disappeared from working order. Casting off his weapon as well as the fuel tank, Atlas rushed to the rafter via a ladder to his right. Falling back, the Moor's squadron left the warehouse. Running up a nearby wall in a Parker fashion, Rommel latched onto a low-hanging pipe. Pulling himself up, he stood on the 2-inch-thick pipe and leapt to a beam. Being grabbed near the top of the yellow ladder, the general kicked at the claw holding him. The lunatic monster chased him high into the rafters, hungry to eat him. Body-checking a viper slithering on the catwalk from behind, Rommel cast it into the tunnels below. Sprinting past the plummeting viper, he wrenched his commanding officer from harm. Rommel's blue eyes squinted. Atlas was heavier than he wanted him to be for this feat. Using Rommel's plate, absent armour, to lift himself, Cunningham got ready to move. Unable to leave like the rest of the Moor squadron, the two of them ran from the hunting diamond skins. He led Rommel to the old wooden stairs he entered from. Getting to the roof, Rommel witnessed the bunch of monsters behind them, falling through the rickety steps, splattered onto the sidewalk. Leaping to the next roof, both men saw the retreating Moor squadron under assault. Snatching 4 men right off the line, pulling them into storm drains, the mutants wanted flesh. Reaching the 900-foot walls which formed the blocks around the bridge base, Cunningham signalled the front gate. Opening at his blue flare, the iron door was ready to protect them. For 90 minutes, Lucinda and her new tagalongs, Eve and Vigo, strolled through the desolate aftermath of the war's allowance. They came upon a rusted-out, docked aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz. The lady was a supercarrier, nuclear-powered, 1,092 feet long and 252 feet wide. The ship was half-welded to the dock, floating by sheer luck. Shown the ship, Lucinda arrogantly stated, "I'm surprised you two make it to land every morning." Smirking, Eve admitted, "Yeah, well, it's home." Pointing at Vigo, Lucinda instructively ordered, "You go ahead." Deprived of making his own decision, Vigo went onto the ship. Welcoming, Eve walked in front of Lucinda, who did the same. Staying in Lucinda's line of sight to not incur Hawke's wrath, Vigo and Eve ventured through a welded steel door. Once inside, they saw a ship full of children, loving parents, and even the old. Introducing the lieutenant to the scene made her mildly happy. She was made glad that people still existed out here. Ecstatic, a 7-year-old girl ran to Vigo. Picking her up, he admitted to Hawke, "Not what you expected?" Adjusting the little blonde girl to view her, Vigo nurturingly said, "Kendra, you should thank this lady. She made sure your daddy came home." Crudely, Lucinda commented, "Don't bother. I hate kids." Enough! She dementedly yelled. Glaring at Eve, she continued. While he's trying to humanize himself, I need to speak to your timid leader. Halting in their movements, every grown adult in earshot stared at her. Taking a step forward, she roughly told them, You think I give a damn what you think? Waving them down, a strong black woman came into the tense room. Dressed in a stiff naval uniform, she calmly tried to save a bad fight for their real enemy. Major Candice, you are? She asked for a new introduction. Navy. Great. I'm Lieutenant Lucinda Hawke, former Morris Squadron, she disrespectfully called. The Major surely commented, I am the one you are looking for. With a, yeah, right. Agitated, Lucinda wanted to see if she could get a rise out of the Major. Now I know why I had to save you two. This operation is run by an infantile navy. Taking her newcomer's mental attack with a grain of salt, Candice launched her own. Too bad you came all this way to play games. Will you excuse me? I have things to attend to. Allowing a smile to crack at her lips, finding someone who wasn't easy to play with. Lucinda stoutly remarked, Before you leave so promptly, let me say 4 words. Your time's almost up. Inquiring to understand the warning, Candice asked, What you hinting at? Shaking her head, the lieutenant answered, All this. Your so-called necropalace is about to fall away. There's a way to end this war. Caught off guard, the Major questioned, How could that miraculousness happen? The vaccine is in LA, and I'm the only being alive you know who can read the code, she announced, sizing up her situation. Calling what she thought was a bluff, Candice was interested and spoke. Let's go to my war room and discuss the topic. Going with the Major, Lucinda joked. What's that? A waterlogged closet, judging by how shabby this ship is. Watching them leave, Eve and Vigo went to different parts of the supercarrier. Attending to his wife, Cassiopeia, Vigo put down his daughter, Kendra. He held his wife as his little girl hugged his leg. Sorrow-filled, young Eve sat on her weakly constructed bed, flipping through an old People magazine, and she hummed. She then opened a page, as if searching for something, when a photo of people long dead fell to the metal floor. It showed her small mother and father standing in front of their quaint restaurant. Eve's father hugged her mother. In her loving arms was baby Eve. Accompanying it was a scratched from battle pair of dog tags, barely readable. To most, such gifts would offer reminiscence of hope. For Eve, there were razors in her mind, slashing to hold nothing. Standing at attention in a clean suit and wearing a red tie, Rommel saluted a seated General Cunningham. Helmetless, Atlas shows himself to be a 43-year-old Irishman. Rubbing his greying beard, he stated, I could suspend you for your recklessness, Lieutenant. Disregarding, Rommel replied, Sir, if you did, your weekly kill count for the squadron would fall by 23%. Pondering today's field report, the General said, That's about 700 for you. Turning from Atlas, he said, I'll be back. Resentful of the lieutenant's lack of regard for rank, the General commanded, Get back here, First Lieutenant. Proceeding to go, he made the excuse, A new mutate is on the coroner's slab. Losing his discomfort, Atlas called out, I expect a lengthy report, Doctor. Finding the sterile morgue, Rommel muttered, Number 1 rifle in the squadron, dog and top researcher. What more could he ask for? Nodding to the statement, the coroner unzipped a 6-foot body bag upon silver surgical table. The woman was ready to get to work. "Hey, girl," Ramel said to the coroner. Letting her French accent free, the blood-covered woman wondered. "You made it back? Or am I talking to a spectre?" Glad to see his friend, he was in a good mood. Ramel got serious. "You ready to play our all-new edition of What the Hell Is That?" Opening the black bag, the coroner announced with satire, "Our first contestant, found in the Los Angeles area, a dead throwback from La La Land." The creature was not grey and scaly like its predecessor. The mutant had dark blue, sleek fish skin. The two of them were amazed that it was such a unique specimen. Ramel broke the funny ha-ha situation, saying in distress, "Get the general, now." While the Frenchwoman rushed to find Cunningham, Ramel picked up a scalpel. Slicing into its chest, the beast woke, roaring. It pounced, coming down on top of the first lieutenant. On his back, he relentlessly stabbed the four-legged spastic carnivore, slamming its head into a wall near him, causing the fishy bastard to fall off. Kicking at the creature's face, he got his regulation steel-plated army boot jammed in its mouth. Slobbering all over the tip of the black footwear, the beast bit down with its jagged teeth. The monster grinded its sharp teeth back and forth, attempting to saw through the boot. Untying the boot, he rolled to his feet, finding the automatic bone saw. Whinnying very horse-like, the monster splintered the metal boot. Flicking the power switch on the bladed bone saw, Ramel yelled, "Come get me!" Lifting its flat head, the dog-looking beast ran from the morgue. Tossing off his remaining boot, he released the weapon he had and beelined after the fleeing mutation. Bursting into the white-tiled hallway, the first lieutenant chased the bleeding animal. From behind him, he was sure Atlas called out, "That a boy!" Gaining on it, the lieutenant witnessed it shatter the glass doors to the mess hall. Jumping over the glass, he saw it on a table speeding towards the next door. Ramel dived across the table at its legs, his fingertips only touching its moving back paw. It tripped as it continued to transform down the hall. Spinning on his stomach, he flipped to a standing position, wishing to slay the intruder. Unbeknownst to the simple-minded animal, it had just fallen into the Mars Squadron's armory. Ramel retrieved a pump shotgun from a rack. The mutant was right before his eyes. Howling in pain, the creature's jaw split in half. Its blue skin crumbled off to reveal a dripping smooth body. Not waiting to see what it may become, Ramel shot a round directly at its brain. The wound leaked acid, while he caustically stated, "As I assumed, your body doesn't take well to massive amounts of lead." "Bye," he dissingly exclaimed. The beast's lungs deflated, signifying its end. Clapping, Atlas made his way into the armory to congratulate him, saying, "You took it down. Now, go do your report, my boy." Hating to do paperwork, Ramel lowered his brow, going to the four-star general. Petulantly, he slammed the shotgun sideways into Cunningham's solar plexus. "Here is your report, sir," he accosted. Taking the gun, Atlas ordered, "First Lieutenant Ramel, you have two choices. On one hand, I have a mission which calls for me to go with the squadron to the President's main hall. The next is a rescue assignment for one Lucinda Hawke." Raising his head, Ramel asked, "Sir, I'll say your invitation was lost. Don't get killed finding your ex-wife. You'll be wearing one of our NU suits, and if that disappears, you're done," Atlas stated. Saluting the general, Ramel thankfully said, "Sir, have fun at your retirement party." Fatherly hugging his best soldier, Atlas proudly spoke, "I'll miss you, son. My first toast will be to your safe return." Thrown off by his commanding officer's outburst of emotion, Ramel Hawke puzzlingly commented, "Thanks and all, but